I didn't know something was wrong the first night it happened. I just thought it was another one of those evenings where sleep wouldn't come, where my head felt too loud and the world felt too quiet. My new apartment in Amarillo was supposed to be peaceful, small, and uneventful, something stable after months of feeling like my life had slid off the rails. But peace comes with strange costs, and sometimes peace isn't peace at all, just a silence waiting to be broken. And mine broke at exactly 1:11 a.m. I was lying in bed, staring up at the ceiling fan as it spun just a little too slow, as if the motor was trying to decide whether it wanted to keep living or give up completely. My phone screen glowed on the nightstand, and mocking me with the time, 1:11 a.m., 3 ones, a weird hour, too early to be morning, too late to be night. That uncomfortable space where the world felt thin. That was when I heard it. Soft at first, like someone whispering through static. A radio, not music, not voices, just static at first, like an old analog station struggling to tune itself. I sat up slowly, thinking maybe a neighbor left something on, or maybe my phone was glitching. But the sound wasn't coming from my phone. It wasn't coming from the walls either. It was coming from inside my apartment. I stood up, heart pushing too hard against my ribs. The static sharpened like someone sliding a dial into place. A faint, distant melody emerged, dulled, scratchy, almost nostalgic, but wrong in a way I couldn't explain. A man's voice followed, low and calm, like an old radio announcer from the 1950s. Good evening, late wanderers. You're listening to Station 11, broadcasting where the night is deepest and the lonely are awake. I froze. There was no Station 11 in Amarillo. I googled all the stations before I moved. Nothing like that existed here. The voice continued, as if he knew he had just hooked my attention. If you're hearing this, you're awake for a reason. My stomach tightened. The sound wasn't coming from a speaker. Not a phone, not a device. It was ambient, like it was filling the air itself. I followed the sound to the living room, and it felt like the closer I got, the more the apartment changed. The temperature dropped, subtle but sharp. The shadows felt heavier, like they were watching me move. The radio static grew clearer. My TV flickered even though it was off. A dim glow pulsed from the black screen, barely visible, like something behind the glass was breathing. I whispered to myself, okay, this is just a dream, I'm dreaming. But I wasn't. I felt the cold hardwood under my bare feet. I felt the tightness in my throat. I smelled the faint mustiness of old carpet near the hallway. Everything was real. The radio voice deepened. To tonight's listener, don't be afraid, we only speak to those who need to hear us. My breath caught, not listeners, listener, singular, he was talking to me. Then a long stretch of static, a sound followed, a tapping, tap, 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 coming from the wall behind the TV, slow, deliberate, like fingers, no knuckles. I stepped back until my legs hit the couch. The voice returned, softer now, don't open the door yet, not tonight, just listen. My mouth went dry. What door? There was no door behind the TV. Just a wall, a thin old apartment wall. Tap, tap, tap. Harder now. I swallowed and reached for the TV remote, not even knowing why. The moment my thumb touched it, the entire apartment went silent. Not just the radio, everything, the fridge, the fan, the hum of electricity. Total dead silence, like the air itself had been cut. My ears rang, or maybe that was the radio coming back. The voice whispered now, barely audible, "You've moved in at the right time. We've been waiting for someone who listens." A loud, sharp pop cracked through the room like a fuse blowing. The TV flashed on for half a second, just long enough for me to see a face, my own face, but not quite. The eyes weren't mine. They were blank, glassy, like a corpse that had been dead too long but still refused to close its eyes. I stumbled back, hitting the corner of the coffee table hard enough to bruise. The TV went black again, the static vanished. The whole apartment felt like it inhaled deeply and held the breath. My phone lit up on the couch beside me. 1:14 a.m., 3 minutes, only 3 minutes of madness. I tried to sleep after that. I didn't. I stayed awake, sitting upright on the couch until dawn, waiting for the sun to pour warmth back into the apartment like nothing had happened. And when morning finally came, it looked normal, too normal, like the apartment wanted to pretend it hadn't whispered to me in the dark. I convinced myself I imagined the whole thing, lack of sleep, stress. Maybe hypnagogic hallucinations, maybe the neighbor watched old radio shows too loudly, maybe there was a logical explanation, but the next night proved me wrong, because the next night, as soon as the clock hit 1:11 a.m., it started again, this time louder, this time clearer, this time calling my name, good evening again, still awake, Lucas. I froze in bed. The voice was warm, almost friendly, but behind it was something hungry. Something listening as closely as I was. My throat tightened. I didn't answer, but I didn't have to. I told you. We speak to those who need to hear us. I got out of bed, but the moment I stood up, the lights in the hallway flickered off one by one. My bedroom door creaked open on its own. The cold drifted in like fog. I felt watched, not by one thing, by many. Eyes behind walls, behind wires, behind screens. I stepped into the hall anyway, drawn by a mix of dread and curiosity I couldn't fight. Static swelled like a wave crashing through the apartment. And then, a second voice, not the announcer, a whisper, close to my ear, "Don't go to the living room." I whipped around. No, one behind me. Just darkness stretching toward the bedroom. I felt something shift in the air, like a presence brushing past me, moving toward the living room ahead of me. The announcer's voice sharpened suddenly, impatient. "Come closer, Lucas. We have a message for you." The whisper returned, urgent now. "Please, don't listen to them. I didn't know who them was. I didn't know who me was supposed to be. But both voices wanted something from me. Both felt wrong. The hole seemed to stretch, longer than it should have been, the shadows at the far end darker than natural darkness. I stepped forward, one step, another, and another. The static thickened like fog. The lights flickered violently. When I reached the living room doorway, I saw something that made every muscle in my body lock. The wall behind my TV wasn't a wall anymore. A door stood there, old, wood rotting, paint peeling, hinges rusted, a door that did not exist before, a door I had never seen in my life, a door that looked older than the building itself. The announcer's voice boomed, echoing through the apartment. "That's it, Lucas, we're finally connected." The whisper screamed in my right ear, "Don't open IT." Static exploded like thunder. The TV flashed again, my reflection in the dark glass, but warped, stretched, smiling when I wasn't. My hand moved on its own, not fully, but enough that I felt something pulling me toward the doorknob. Cold metal met my fingertips. The moment I touched it, the entire apartment went pitch black. No static. No whispers, no announcer. Just a silence so heavy it felt like someone's palm was pressed over my mouth, smothering the world. And then a voice from behind the door, a voice I recognized instantly. My voice let me out. I staggered back so fast I tripped over my own feet. I hit the floor, the darkness pulsed. My breathing turned sharp and ragged. The voice behind the door repeated, calm and patient, "Lucas, let me out. I've been here a long time." I scrambled backward on my hands, heart slamming against my ribs, vision blurring with panic. The doorknob twisted from the other side, slowly, deliberately, and then something else whispered from the opposite side of the room. Not the announcer, not the thing behind the door, something new, something watching me from the darkest corner of the living room. "You shouldn't have heard us, Lucas." The lights snapped back on so violently the bulbs popped. The door vanished, the wall was smooth again, the TV was off, the static was gone, but the whisper remained right behind me, "We're not done yet." My phone lit up, 1:12 a.m., only 1 minute had passed. But my life had already changed, "We're just getting started." That's what the whisper said, but I refused to let it be true. I refused to believe this thing, whatever it was, had any right to drag me deeper into its world. The static behind me grew louder, rising like a wave ready to crash. I clutched my phone so tightly the plastic groaned. The radio tower across the street blinked its single red light again, slow and steady, like a heartbeat I wasn't supposed to hear. 3 blinks. Pause. 3 more, like it was calling me by name. No. I whispered to myself, no, I'm done, I'm out, this ends now. But the static didn't stop. It followed. It wrapped around my legs, my chest, my ears, like it was trying to pull me backward into something I couldn't see. I sprinted down the street barefoot, asphalt biting into my skin, every breath sharp and cold. My lungs burned, my vision blurred. But the static chased me, growing louder and louder until it didn't sound like static anymore. It sounded like hundreds of voices whispering through a broken microphone. I darted around the corner, only to skid to a halt. The entire street was empty, no cars, no streetlights, no wind, just darkness stretching on forever, swallowing the world 1 block at a time. I turned around. My apartment building had changed. Every window was glowing white, bright, blinding, humming with electricity. The outline of my own shadow flickered in one window, like it was pacing behind the glass. The world was bending around me, folding in on itself like a nightmare that refused to end. I wasn't in my city anymore. I wasn't in any city. I was in the signal. Stop. I said out loud, voice trembling, stop chasing me, stop talking to me, stop. The static cut off instantly. Silence, a painful silence, like the world was holding its breath again. Then a calm voice, 2 calms, spoke from directly behind me. Lucas. I didn't want to turn around. I didn't want to see what had followed me out here. But something inside me, something pulled tight and ready to snap, forced me to look. Standing only a few feet away was me, not the shadow version, not the distorted one, not the puppet. This one was perfect, perfect face, perfect expression, perfect posture, like someone had copied me down to the heartbeat. But its eyes were wrong. There was no soul behind them, no depth, just an endless shimmering whiteness like the glow from the static. Filled windows, give it back. He said quietly. My throat tightened. Give what back? My life, he whispered. The one you wasted, the one you never used, the one I've been watching, waiting to take. I didn't waste anything. I shot back, even though I knew that wasn't true. My life had been a mess for years. Regret clung to me like a second skin, but that didn't matter now. You ran, he said. When the signal called, you ran. Because it was trying to kill me? No, he said, tilting his head. It was trying to replace you. My stomach dropped. Replace me with you? Yes. The thing wearing my face whispered, and I want your life more than any of the others. The street around us flickered. The sky rippled like a stretched TV screen. The world wasn't stable anymore. It was glitching. He stepped closer. You hear the signal the clearest. He whispered, you see the doors before they appear. You feel the pull stronger than anyone else. That makes you valuable. My voice cracked. Valuable for what? His lips curled into a smile too smooth to be human, to open the way. I backed up. I'm not opening anything. You already did. The ground beneath my feet buzzed faintly, vibrating like a live wire pressed against the earth. My phone buzzed again. I looked down. Live broadcast. Final transmission. It's time, Lucas. He said softly, you're the last key. No. I whispered, shaking my head violently. I'm not letting you take my life. You don't have a choice. He raised his hand toward me. Static roared. The world split open behind him. A vertical tear in the air, glowing bright white, like someone slicing open the night with a blade of light. The glow washed over the street, erasing shadows, burning color out of the world. He stepped into the light. Come home, he said, voice layered with faint echoes of other people. Other versions of me he had taken before. Come into the signal. I stumbled backward, blinded, heart hammering so fast it felt like it might burst. He held out his hand again. Join us. No. I whispered. No, no. I threw my phone at the ground. It shattered. The second it hit the asphalt, the light flickered. Just for a moment, but it flickered enough. The tear in the world stuttered. My copy froze, head snapping toward the broken pieces. What did you... I didn't let him finish. I ran straight at him, straight at the tear, straight into the light. He reached out, trying to grab me, but I shoved him backward. Hard, his body staggered. Shock flashed across his perfect face. The light swallowed him whole. His scream, not mine, his echoed like metal scraping against bone. Then the tear snapped shut. The static stopped. Silence, pure, real silence. The street was normal again. Cars, houses, distant traffic. The world back the way it should be. I collapsed onto the pavement, gasping, coughing, crying all at once. It was over. It had to be over. I sat there for what felt like hours, staring at the broken pieces of my phone. The world stayed still, no static, no lights flickering, no whispers, just the night, just peace, just me. Finally, I whispered to myself, it's done. I ended it. But then my phone screen lit up, even though it was shattered, even though the battery had cracked open. A final message glowed across the broken glass. We hear you clearer than ever. Transmission complete. See you at 1:11 a.m. The screen went dark. A soft whisper drifted through the air behind me. My voice, we're not done yet. The story ended.